Okay. Um, Good morning, all of you. Very warm welcome to all of you to this session on finite element method course. Um, so yesterday, it was really good. Uh, the kind of PPT is not, I'm not acquainted with this particular sort of teaching, this mode of teaching. But then, you know, we cannot do anything, given this pandemic. Everybody is going online and the university has ordered us to go online, so I cannot do anything, or even the colleges cannot do anything, because we ought to. The university uh, might have used its discretion to go through this particular online mode, but yes, we do have certain challenges, to go through online, not just from your side, even from the faculty side as well. And some of your one or two persons have rightly pointed out, sir, we are running out of data, or sir, we couldn't able to get the required bandwidth. So these are the very, very, very prominent, and these are very important uh, problems that we have to address. But unfortunately, these two things are from your side. I cannot do anything. Or yes, if that is a problem, yes, you can ask your higher authorities to look into this matter. Uh, so I seriously urge all of you that I cannot do anything on this. So if you enter into the room, you're ought to be here for 40 minutes, and we have to, right? So that is the reason I again ask all of you to, I see, I seriously, I know what the kind of problems that you're facing. And sometimes I may also face the same problem. It's because this is not something which is dividing us. It is the same, we are all in the same kind of sphere, right? So again, my you know sincere request to all of you is, please make sure that you have a requisite amount of data available to that particular day, right? And hardly this won't take more than 200 MB. So on a particular day, you'll be having not more than 4 classes, so not more than 800 MB. But still, that might, I'm not saying that it is an easy thing to go for, but because we have gone already through online classroom teaching, so I request all of you to make sure that you have requisite amount of data. If that is any kind of problem to you, then please let us be addressed. Let it be addressed to your principal and so on. Okay, so whoever the concerned authority is, or HOD or whoever. So I would request all of you to please be here within 5 minutes, so that I may not add one by one. Okay, so uh, yes, I'll just share my screen with you. So please see whether we can go through this PPT or not. Is that fine? Anyone, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, so in the previous lecture, we told that in the previous lecture we told that FEM is a numerical method like other numerical methods, finite difference method and finite volume method. And we told you that any numerical method, the intention is to solve a partial differential equation or some equation, some system of equations. Uh, we also told that the basic procedure, I mean the basic working of a numerical method, the actual intention of using a numerical method is to convert a partial differential equation to a system of linear algebraic equations, right? So it reduces, it's very clear in the second point, it reduces a partial differential equation system to a system of algebraic equations that can be solved by uh, traditional linear algebra techniques, that is of course by matrices. When you have to solve a system of linear algebraic equations, obviously you go for the matrices. You'll write in the matrix form and you can easily solve it. Of course there are certain methods to solve it, but yes, we go for the matrices to solve linear system of linear algebraic equations. So in other words, in the last point says FEM is a method for dividing up a very complicated problem into small elements that can be solved in relation to each other. Okay, it's like dividing a given region into small regions. Like you cut a cake, into different pieces. In the same way, FEM is a method of dividing a complicated problem into small elements. Okay, let me just drink some water. 1 second. Okay. Now as you can see here, you have a circle. You have a circle, and in the previous class, I told you that if you want to calculate this the area inscribed within that particular circle, the area inside the circle, then let us suppose not only area, or of course you will take, for example, if I want to calculate the perimeter, even then I want pi. If you do not know what is pi, then is there any possibility of calculating the perimeter? Yes, there is possibility. Like, you have to inscribe, for example, you have to inscribe a polygon. How many sides is this? What is this? How many sides are there in this polygon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So total 8 number of sides. So it is called octagon. Let us say I have inscribed an octagon inside this particular circle. Okay, now you see, if I want the perimeter will not be actual perimeter, because there are some gaps left. Or let us suppose you want to calculate the area inscribed inside the circle. So even then you have seen, now you're seeing the small spaces left. So that will be your error. So whatever the surface, if you take, okay sir, if I ask you, you just calculate the area inside the circle, then you come up with an idea, sir, I do not know pi. So what I'll do is, I'll inscribe a polygon inside it. Let us say here I have taken 8-sided polygon, which is octagon, and I said, sir, it is approximately equal to the area of the circle. You can take this for granted. Okay, fine. But if I ask you, no, I want even more finer result, even more finer value, which is almost equal to the exact solution or the exact area of the area inside the circle, then what you'll do, instead of these 8 sides, let us suppose, if I take, what is the possibility that come into your mind? If I ask you, no, I want, okay, you have done this very good, but I want I want these errors to be even reduced. If I ask you that I want this error to be even reduced, then what you do? Probably you may think, or you may say, sir, instead of taking this 8 sides, let me take 16 sides. Then you say, okay, if I take 16 sides, whatever even then you will be left with small spaces, that if you add up all these spaces, that would be less than whatever the spaces now you have got in this octagon when you inscribe the octagon inside the circle. So your error has considerably reduced. Now if I ask you, okay, I want my error even to be reduced, then you will say, for example, if you go for 32 sides or 64 or any number of sides, it's not 32, 64, 128, any number of some 100, then at one point you say that all your sides will be almost coinciding with the circle. Imagine if you take some 1,000 sides polygon, then what happens? Almost all your sides will be almost fitted into the circle. Of course, if I zoom it, if I take it into a pixel picture of it, then I'll be left with small spaces. So that would be my error. Even you can increase. You can increase some. Let us say you can increase to 1 lakh sides. Your problem will, your error would be even reduced, and you say, sir, this is almost equal to exact solution. Even though this is an I have approximated it, but my approximation is 100% correct. You see, it has been completely coinciding with the circle. Then fine, it's okay. But even then, it cannot be called as 100% exact solution. Why? Because I told you, even though error may be, let us say, 10 to the power of minus 6 meter square error, or 10 to the power of minus 12 meter square error, but then there is certain error, and that is not equal to exact solution. On the other picture, on the right side of this circle, I have taken, instead of this filling, what I have taken is, I have taken a small rectangular tiles. I deliberately didn't fill the entire surface just to explain you. Okay, initially I have these many tiles. I say, okay, I'll put these number of slides, tiles, and I say, okay, this is, sir, this is the, what I know each, the surface area of each and every tile. So I'll calculate how many number of, the number of tiles, and I multiply with the surface area. I'll get the area occupied by this, the area occupied by this tiles inside the circle. Then I say, okay, this is the surface area of the circle. But if this is, if you take it literally, these number of tiles, then you will see lot of surface area is left over. The error is very, very large. Then some of you say, okay, sir, why don't we go for more number of tiles? Then fine. If you go for even more number of tiles, yes, the spaces, the empty space will be filled. So that I can say that my error has been reduced. Okay. And so on, I can go for more number of tiles. If I go for more number of tiles, what happens? At one point, it seems like my entire surface area inside the circle has been filled with this particular tiles. Of course, there will be small gaps left. So whatever the gaps left, that would be my error. Because I do not know the exact solution, that is pi r square for the perimeter, or yes, for the area, pi r square. So I have taken this kind of thing. What I did, e surface area ne small tiles kinda nenu, I have divided it to small tiles, which I already know what is the area of the tile. In that way, I have calculated, right? So this is how we do this is how any numerical method is going to be solved. Now you might be wondering, exact solution లేనప్పుడు ఏదో solution వస్తుంది, ఆ solution కూడా solution ఏ కదా అని. Now it might be exact solution, right side ఉన్నది కూడా, if I completely fill the surface area with n number of tiles, so that it will completely be filled, the area will be completely filled with the tiles, and any tiles unta I can calculate, I know the surface area, and number of tiles into surface area will give me the actual surface area. But some spaces, అదే చెప్తున్నా, ఈవెన్ ఒకవేళ మైన్యూట్ లెవెల్లో, పిక్సెల్ లెవెల్లో చూసినా, ఐ మే లీవ్ సమ్ పిక్సెల్స్, చిన్న గ్యాప్స్ ఉండొచ్చు. సో దట్ వుడ్ బి మై ఎర్రర్. నౌ if you tell me, sir, why don't we take bigger tiles? Okay, you can take bigger tiles, but bigger tiles fix చేసేటప్పుడు you will be left with bigger spaces, so error would be more. So if I go for more number of tiles, my error would be reduced. అంటే ఇక్కడ in this case లో ఇక్కడ error ఏంటి, surface area gaps లేకుండా ఉండటం. So please try to understand what I'm saying, because this is the same concept which we apply in numerical method. You have an exact solution into pi r square, but I do not know what pi in that. So what I'll do, I'll take indirect, like I just place it inside it. If you do not know surface area ఎంతో తెలియదు, ఒక ఏరియా ఎంతో తెలియదు మీకు, మీకు ఏదో షేప్ ఇచ్చాను, ఆ షేప్ ఏరియా తెలియదు, నేను ఆ ఏరియా క్యాల్కులేట్ చేయమన్నాను, వెరీ కాంప్లికేటెడ్ ఏరియా. అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తారు, గ్రాఫ్ షీట్ తీసుకొని గ్రాఫ్ షీట్ దాని మీద పెట్టి, ఎన్ని గళ్ళు అయితే గ్రాఫ్ షీట్ అది ఫిక్స్, గ్రాఫ్ షీట్ దాని ఎన్ని సెంటీమీటర్ స్క్వేర్ ఏరియా వెళ్ళిందో, ఎన్ని బ్లాక్స్ అయితే ఉన్నాయో, you multiply with that and you tell me, sir, let us say for example 25 blocks fill aithe, so this area is, surface area is 25 centimeter square. So in that way, in the same way, what we are doing here is the same thing. Okay, now let us suppose an actual engineering problem, how we deal the finite element method, I mean, or any numerical method. Say for example, let us say finite element method, how we deal with the actual engineering problem. So in the third figure, you have a cantilever beam, and on which there is certain load acting. Okay, now for this, if I calculate, so okay, for any structural problem, you have already done strength of materials course. What is the primary quantity which we are interested to find in any structural problem? The primary quantity in which we are interested to find in any structural problem is displacement. Just like the primary quantity which we are interested to find in any heat transfer problem is temperature distribution. Why? Because once you get the temperature distribution, you can get the temperature gradient. Once you get the gradient, you will get the heat flux. Similarly, in the same way, in structural problems, once you get temperature, once you get displacement, you can find the strain. Once you get strain, you can find the stress. So displacement is the primary quantity for any structural problem. Similarly, in fluid mechanics problem, velocity is the primary quantity. Once you get velocity, you will get momentum, and you will get all the other parameters. So for structural problems, displacement is the primary quantity. Now, if I have the differential equation for this particular beam, and if I solve it, I'll get the displacement. I'll get the displacement. So that is, let us say, for mostly, since it is a beam, the displacement curve would be parabolic, right? You'll get a parabolic curve, displacement curve, where x-axis would be your span of the beam, that is L, and y-axis would be your displacement. Okay, given the displacement actually depend on the loading. Okay, let us suppose here in this case, for this loading, let us imagine you got a parabolic curve. Okay, as I already told you, the x-axis is length, the span of the beam, and y-axis is the displacement at each and every point in the span of the beam, that is length of the beam. If you get the exact solution, if you solve the exact differential equation, and if you get the solution, then if I ask you to find displacement at any point, let us say at L by 3, you can simply calculate mathematical last law equation వస్తుంది కాబట్టి, the displacement equation వస్తుంది కాబట్టి, let us say y of x or y, displacement y అనుకుంటే y is equal to some, let us say c1 into x plus c2. Let us imagine. I'm just giving a vague example. Y of x is equal to c1 into x plus c2. So now if I ask you at L by 3, in place of x, you will substitute that L by 3 at one third portion of the beam. You can substitute L by 3 and you can calculate, given c1 and c2. Of course, if you substitute the boundary conditions, you will get to know c1 and c2, and you will calculate it. I mean, this is not exactly for the beam, I'm just giving an example. You will calculate the displacement. Okay, so at any point within the span or within the domain, that domain is nothing but your length of the, in this case it is the length of the beam or span of the beam. So this is the domain, right? If you solve the actual differential equation, you will get the exact solution. What do you mean by exact solution? What I mean by exact solution is I can solve the displacement, or I can solve the quantity, primary quantity, that is in structural problems it is displacement. Here in this case, I can solve the displacement at any point within the length of the beam, at any point within the span, at any point 0.000 L. I can substitute that and I can get the displacement. But if you do not know, if it is a complicated loading, and if you do not know how to solve that particular partial differential equation, then how can you proceed? The same concept, what we have used, what we have seen in the previous circle scenario, that same we're going to use. Please bear with me, this is very important, because if you can understand this little concept, you will understand finite element method. You will understand. That's what I mean. You already know finite element method. That's what I can say. Okay. Now listen. I will partition that L into different intervals. So let us take that L is 1 meter. So here I will take, how many intervals I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So first constraint nunchi calculate cheskunte enni unnayante 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at the end 6. So how many intervals? 6 intervals are there, right? So now what I have done, actual naadenti complete 0 to L is my region or is my domain. Mathematical ga region ne mano domain antam. So that is my domain. Now I'm dividing my region into subregions, or dividing my domain into subdomains. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. I'm actually dividing the given region into subregions. Enduku chestunanu? Because I do not know how to solve for the entire, how to solve the differential equation. A differential equation complete span of the beam ki it will be applicable, but I do not know how to solve the differential equation. So what I'll do is I will chop into different pieces. నాకు ఎన్ని pieces కావాలో it's up to me. As I told you, నాకు ఎన్ని tiles పెట్టాలో it's up to me. If I want the accurate solution కావాలంటే మీరు ఏమన్నారు? Sir, I will go for more number of tiles so that ఈ space ఏదైతే ఉందో తగ్గుతుంది, error would be reduced. Similarly, in the same way, here also I will go for more number of choppings, more number of pieces, so that my error would be reduced. Adi ela reduce avutundi, let us see. Here in this case I have taken 6 intervals. Yes, anybody wants to talk to me? Okay. So
dominant ఏంటి సార్?
yes hello,
dominant ఏంటి సార్?
domain is nothing but region 0 to L, the span, a beam span. Domain is nothing but region. A region ne mathematical ga mano region, some region 0 to L span, length span 0 to L. A region ne mano mathematically we call it as domain. Okay, fine. I divide into sub regions. Region domain anto mathematical ga, so that I call it as sub domains. Okay, so ఇప్పుడు my domain is not single domain 0 to L కాదు, my region 0 to L కాదు. ఇప్పుడు ఏంటి నా domain ఏంటి? 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and lastly 5 to 6. So what I did, instead of considering my solution for 0 to L, నేను నాకు నచ్చినట్టు I have chopped it into different pieces and I have taken. ఇప్పుడు now again I want my solution. ఇప్పుడు నాకు సొల్యూషన్ కావాలి, నేను ఏం చేస్తాను? ఇప్పుడు నాకు ఆల్రెడీ నాకు ఎలాగో 0 to L నాకు తెలియదు, ఆ పార్షియల్ డిఫరెన్షియల్ ఈక్వేషన్ నేను సాల్వ్ చేయలేను. సో వాట్ ఐ విల్ డూ ఇస్ I will take 0 to 1 interval. తీసుకొని I'll see how the displacement is changing. Similarly from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, and 5 to 6 lastly. సో ఇవన్నీ నేను ఇవన్నీ ఒక నుంచి ఒక దానికి నేను అలా వాట్ వి కాల్ 0 to 1 నాకు ఒక డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ కర్వ్ వచ్చింది. లెట్ అస్ సే నేను లీనియర్ అనుకున్నాను, అది నేను లీనియర్ అనుకున్నాను. సో ఒక స్ట్రైట్ లైన్ వచ్చింది. మళ్ళీ 1 to 2 కూడా లీనియర్, కంప్లీట్ లీనియర్ అనుకున్నాను, మళ్ళీ స్ట్రైట్ లైన్ ఇలా వచ్చింది. సో ఇట్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ లుక్స్ లైక్ దిస్. అంటే ఒక పారాబోలిక్ ని మీరు 0 to L మీరు చేయాలన్నప్పుడు పారాబోలా, యు నో పారాబోలా రైట్? ఇట్స్ ఇన్వర్టెడ్ ట్యూబ్ లాగా ఉంటుంది. మీరు వాట్ వి కాల్ ఈ టెస్ట్ ట్యూబ్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, సో ఇన్వర్టెడ్ టెస్ట్ ట్యూబ్ like inverted mug or something. Okay, so that is a parabola, inverted glass. Okay, you see that parabola, so it will rise and it will fall down. Let us say adi man okel graph manaki actual ga vachindi anukunte ee beam ki, if I chop it, then నాకు ఏమొస్తుంది? I do not get exact curve, but నేను స్ట్రైట్ లైన్ అనుకున్నాను కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడికి స్ట్రైట్ లైన్ గా చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ అనేది స్ట్రైట్ లైన్ అనుకున్నాను కాబట్టి ఏమవుతుంది? Now what will happen is, listen very carefully, now what will happen is it will look like some straight line joined together. Same a curve ne touch chestu veltundi, but it will be straight lines, just like circle ni touch chestu ippudu meeku lines elagaithe unnayo ikkada paina in this top figure, in the same way you will have a parabola on which you have some straight lines touching it. I hope you understand. So now you can see very clearly that is not the solution. Your exact solution is a parabola. But why don't you get the parabola? Because why don't you get the parabola? Because you do not know how to solve that particular problem. So you have chopped it and you got. So ఏదైతే gaps అక్కడ వస్తాయో అప్పుడు, then that will be your error. If you want, ఇక్కడ clear గా వినండి, if you want more accurate solution, ఏం చేయొచ్చు? Instead of taking this 6, I can go for 60 pieces. అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? ఆల్మోస్ట్ అవ్వచ్చు అవ్వకపోవచ్చు, బట్ ఐఎమ్ జస్ట్ గివింగ్ ఎన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఆల్ దీస్ స్ట్రైట్ లైన్స్ విల్ టచ్ ది గ్రాఫ్ అండ్ ఇట్ లుక్స్ లైక్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ ద సేమ్ గ్రాఫ్ ఆర్ విత్ స్మాల్ ఎర్రర్. ఓకే, సో ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ మోర్ యాక్యురేట్ సొల్యూషన్, యూ విల్ గో ఫర్ మోర్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ పీసెస్, more number of regions, sub-regions, or more number of sub-domains mathematically. Okay, so this is how is this. Now let's do, see all these things I will also already, I mean I will also discuss later, but let me tell you, it is not possible for me to go through this PPT throughout the classes, right? The reason being very simple, because if at all, if I have some mathematical formulations, some mathematical equations, I can simply write it, I can simply type it and I can present you, but I have to read the mathematical formulations. I have to, even if it is a derivation or something like that, I have to read it, which I don't think, it doesn't give me satisfaction while teaching, right? And I don't think it would be an efficient way of teaching for you. So we'll see what happens, how it happens, but at least for tomorrow, until tomorrow, we'll go through these PPTs, and then we'll see if I can keep a paper pen and I can put the camera on it so that you can see let us see. We will actually trying from, we are actually trying very hardly from our side, and let us see how it goes. Okay. So today and tomorrow would be your theory part will be completed, and then we can enter into whatever the rest of the concepts. And meanwhile, I also give you the lesson plan as I told you. I might have told you yesterday. I'll give you the lesson plan so that you will see what are the topics, to come, so that you can follow it. Okay. So now, what is the history of FEM? Now, this is very important point. This is very important for your bits. Basic ideas of FEM originated from advances in aircraft structural analysis. This is very important. Basic ideas of FEM originated from advances in aircraft structural analysis. So because to have a development in aircraft structural analysis, FEM has been developed. అసలు ఎందుకు aircraft structural ఏంటి ఎందుకు, what is the reason for the development of aircraft structures? Let us see. As they say, need is the mother of invention. They say, if you do not want any need, if you do not have any need, there is no need for you to go for any invention, right? So the second point, World War II has paved way for the development of numerical methods, and hence FEM has been extensively used for structural problems. Now, I have to tell you a small story here, and that story is actually related to World War II, and it's also related to Adolf Hitler. Now, during World War II and before that, you will see this aircraft structure. You can observe this aircraft structure, that truss structure there. Okay, that will look, you already know, but this is very way back in 1890s or 1900s. After that, the aircrafts have been drastically changed, but not the wing has not completely changed. Not this much big structure, but very very small wings, but with lot of strength and all that. But anyhow, we'll see this. The story is, it's very interesting. During World War II, Adolf Hitler wants his aircrafts to participate in warfare for more amount of time. But you cannot change the tank, right? The tank has to be filled with certain fuel. And he says, he came to know that his aircrafts, in fact, Germany is forefront in aircrafts, as you all know. So he assembled all his mathematicians, great mathematicians and scientists, and he said, look, I want my aircrafts to involve in warfare for more amount of time. I do not know what you do. I will give you the resources, but you have to make our aircrafts to involve in warfare for more amount of time. And he has given them very little time to achieve that, because they know war will break at any point of time, and they have to extensively involve the world war. So what they did is, what initially they thought, like, it's a normal human thing, like if you increase the fuel tank, then it will carry more amount of fuel, and it will take the aircraft will fly for more amount of time, but that will increase the weight, of the structure aircraft, and the fuel consumed is also very very high. But one thing they already know is, it is because of the drag on the aircraft, the fuel is consumed more. And that they also seen that most of the drag, what is drag force is, you have already done fluid mechanics course, but that most of that drag force is just because of that wing. అంతే కదా, వింగ్ ఎక్కువ ఏరియా ఆక్యుపై చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి obviously wing has to have more amount of drag force. So what they told themselves is, if we could modify this wing structure, then that would be a great help to decrease the drag force, so that with this particular fluid, with this particular fuel, the aircraft will stay in air warfare for more amount of time. Well, that's okay, but in order to if you decrease that, if you decrease the size, then what happens? You will lose the strength. Okay, so this is the starting point of the development of numerical methods, and more particularly finite element method. They then told to themselves, like, okay, if we could reduce the wing structure without sacrificing on the strength, then that would be great help. So they have decreased the size of the wing, but somehow with the finite element methods and all this, they could able to, actually what they did is, instead of this big wing truss structure, they have reduced it to very small. And then extensive research has been gone, and somebody said, why don't we have a simple plate like structure instead of this kind of truss structure, which you have more amount of drag. If we could have a simple plate like structure for wing, which we see now, then that would be great help, because the drag force would become considerably reduced. But they said to themselves, okay, that's fine, but if you substitute that, then the strength would be even further reduced. How can we stabilize the aircraft structure? Now the question arises, okay, what if there is any possibility then that without compromising on the strength, if we could able to replace the wing with a simple plate, then that would be great help. Because they have seen the birds and all that, their wings is very thin. So they could able to work extensively on finite element method, and they could able to, and that is what now we are seeing, that the wing structure is actually a simple plate like structure. Otherwise we could have big structures, and with the wing the aircraft couldn't able to take these many number of passengers. Okay, so yes, in other words, this inventions is not only restricted to Germany. It has actually, to be very frank with you, Germany has started, but it has also fled to other places around Europe and America, and people have come up with great designs of aircraft. And now you see UK and US, Airbus and Boeing are the two great players in aircraft building. Okay, so they have come up with great designs, and now you see. But even now, yes, in aircraft structures and all that, Germany has been in the forefront. Okay, so this is that is the starting point of advancement in FEM, and thanks to FEM, let me tell you, because of this advancement, whatever the aircraft structures that we see now is just happened because of the development of these numerical methods, and FEM is an important numerical method for the structural analysis. In fact, it's the very prominently used numerical method for structural analysis, whether it may be aeronautical or civil structures and all that. Now, in 1941, there was a paper presented by the author, the mathematician Henry Kopf. René Kopf. He presented a paper on solution of elasticity problems using the framework method. Instead of calling it finite element method, he called it as some, not exact finite element method, but some similar method, similar to finite element method. He called it as framework method. And in 1943, the person called Courant used piecewise polynomial interpolation. What do you mean by interpolation? 1 nunchi 2 ki ఇంత amount of say for example the calculation ఇన్వెస్ట్మెంట్స్ ఎలా వస్తాయి, బ్యాంక్స్ క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ ఏం చేస్తారంటే ఈ మంత్ లో ఈ క్వార్టర్ ఇయర్ లో ఇంత అమౌంట్ వచ్చింది, ఈ క్వార్టర్ ఇయర్ లో ఇంత అమౌంట్ వచ్చింది. సో వాట్ ఈస్ ద క్వార్టర్ అమౌంట్ దట్ యు గోయింగ్ టు గెట్ టు ది అదర్ quarter. So they will interpolate based on the previous solution. They will interpolate it. Similarly, in 1943, this person is also very important. Courant, an author mathematician called Courant, used piecewise polynomial. Piecewise. Remember, we actually divided the domain or region into pieces or subregions, or that is what we call subdomains. That each piece is called subregion or subdomain. And we have divided into subpieces, and we individually calculated the solution. Individually calculated this solution for these particular pieces, right? And we got, say for example, linear anukunan. ప్రతి సింపుల్ చిన్నదే కదా, పెద్దగా మారదు, టోటల్ గా అయితే మారుతుంది, బీమ్ చాలా డిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవుతుంది, బట్ ఆ సింపుల్ చిన్న పోర్షన్ లో ఐ ఇంటర్పోలేట్ ఇట్ as linear. So this is what we call interpolation, and this is also very similar to the finite element method which we see now. Now the next person, very important point, the term finite element method was first coined by Clough in 1960. This person Clough, he is the person in 1960, he in his paper authored by him, he first coined the term method. I mean, he first coined that name. This is a very important bit question. Finite element method was first given by Clough in 1960. And in 1960, after 1960, after this particular method has seen the light of the day, many engineers around the world use the method for approximate solution of problems in structural analysis, but that is ultimately for structural analysis. For initially you find displacement. Once you get the displacement, you find strains, and once you get the strains, you find stresses. So for stress analysis, for structural problems, for fluid flow, initially we find velocities. Ultimately, we find pressure and all that. For heat transfer problems, initially we find temperature, that is temperature distribution at each and every point. And then we ultimately find gradients and ultimately heat flux. So until then, 1960, even though that particular name was not given, this method was there. Finite element method was there. So they used to call this with some other names, but this particular methodology is only restricted to structural problems. But later on, from 1960, after this person Clough has given the name in his paper, and people started using it in not just for structural analysis for aircrafts or civil structures, it will also be used. It has also been started using in fluid mechanics problems, heat transfer problems, electromagnetics, electromagnetohydrodynamics, and so on and so forth. Now you might be wondering, sir, how could that be possible? It could be possible because we are actually looking into a differential equation. That's it. It's not. It's a mathematical it's a mathematical tool. We're actually looking into differential equation. It can be a differential equation, a mathematical model anedi, adi structural problem davachu. It could be from fluid mechanics problem. It could be from heat transfer problem. Let us say, for example, two-dimensional, no internal heat generation, steady state two-dimensional, no internal heat generation. That Laplace equation, dou square T by dou x square plus dou square T by dou y square is equal to 0. Two-dimensional, steady state, no internal heat generation, heat conduction equation. Dou square T by dou x square plus dou square T by dou y square is equal to 0. I have hardly 30 seconds left. Okay, so in that way, people started using it in all arenas. The first book was first published by Zenkiewicz by the name Finite Element Method, Finite Elements by Zenkiewicz, and this person is a civil engineer. Okay, he's published book in 1967. Thank you so much, and this is the end of our PPT. And I'm stopping my screen sharing, and thank you so much once again for being here. You can leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.